Greetings, greetings, welcome, welcome. Please come on in. Welcome, welcome to another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. I am your host, the Divine Prince, Pan African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagoon Oloye Hoodoo Obeah Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test of one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. Greetings and salutations. Come on in, co host, beloved, the Queen Mother, Tony Val Martinez. We certainly appreciate you joining us tonight.
Peace
Always a
and blessing.
How are things on your end of the neck of the woods?
I don't know. I dropped my phone and something weird going on.
Oh, wow. Okay, we might have to get you a new phone, huh?
No, I think I just need to go in my settings and do something, but I'll do it later. Peace and
Oh,
blessing, everyone.
greetings and salutations to Facebook page, my Facebook profile, my Black Hawk Voodoo group. Peace and love to Instagram, to LinkedIn, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Those who are joining us via my Earth Cam page, welcome, greetings, and salutations. Those who are joining me by way of my website at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us tonight, this beautiful Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. And before I move forward, I want to invite you each and every one to join us, certainly with your questions, comments, and requests by utilizing the streamyard.com/AAK, the number 8, DA, the number 4, QSW. You can copy and paste that from the chat and throw that in your URL browser, and you'll be able to turn on your mic and your camera. Greetings, Elder Reggie. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. Elder Reggie is masking as green soap, so we know that's Elder Reggie. Thank you so much, King Solomon, for coming on in and joining us tonight. We certainly appreciate your consistent participation and support on the platform. And greetings and salutations, Marie. We certainly appreciate you for coming in and joining us. And we look forward to another powerful edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, powered, sponsored, and promoted by New Orleans National Voodoo Day. New Orleans National Voodoo Day.org is a organization that is a sibling organization to the annual Festival of Voodoo that takes place every January 10th in West Africa in Ouidah, Benin. This will be our second year of celebrating, commemorating, hosting the New Orleans National Voodoo Day. We will have a strong delegation coming in from Haiti, from Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, Paris, and we invite you to be a part of this spectacular and historic event. Please join us for more information, to support us, to donate, to get information so that you can plan your trip here for April 5th and 6th, 2025. Our website is www, capital B like Victor, O, D like David, O, U, D like David, A, Y.org. VoodooDay.org. VoodooDay.org. NONDVOUDAY.org. And we certainly invite all of our Pan African diasporic practitioners and members to come and join us, whether it be Santeria, Lukumi, Voodoo with O's, Voodoo with U's, Hoodoo, Conjure, Root Work, Isheshe. We certainly invite you to be a part of this powerful event. Greetings and salutations to the alchemists. Thank you so much for being a consistent participant. We certainly appreciate you. And welcome again, Tariq Lopez, another consistent participant and member of our community. We certainly appreciate you. And greetings, Solomon. Thank you so much.
Greetings, greetings.
What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh man, just healing up and learning. Just healing, man. I gotta get myself together. That's all.
Well, always a blessing. We certainly appreciate you and your contributions. Your background is a little bit loud, so I'm going to have to keep you muted unless you're saying something, because your background, TV or something, is kind of loud. Yeah. Listen, I was on TikTok today scrolling and looking for somebody's business to get into, I guess. And I came across this totally manufactured voodoo story. It was what appeared to be a pretty light brown skinned Haitian woman with a clip of Donald Trump at his inauguration, what appeared to be a clip of politician Cynthia McKinney, though I don't know the authenticity of the clip. I didn't see any of the inauguration, so it could have been AI for all I know, but it didn't appear to be. And the Haitian content creator, I'm gonna call her, went on to describe her as a mambo. She didn't call Cynthia's name, so I don't know that she even knows Cynthia's name or really knew who this woman was. But we know who Cynthia McKinney is, and she utilized how she was dressed, the color she was wearing, red and black, to sort of justify that this was a mambo. And certainly the comments in the chat associated with this post went all ways to the left, to include even accrediting Donald Trump for having knowledge of voodoo or more knowledge of voodoo than we are willing to acknowledge. Certainly having more knowledge of voodoo than what this woman was representing as a so-called mambo, which is Cynthia McKinney. Now, Cynthia McKinney is it Georgia or Carolina where she was born? She's never been a practitioner of or initiate of voodoo that I'm aware of. And certainly there are no mainstream media outlets that have tied or associated her and Donald Trump and voodoo in any way together or in the same space for that matter. So it continues the conversation that we last night. It was Solomon, I think, that brought up the other going viral post in social media of the white woman sticking the pins in the voodoo doll in association.
No, that was Elder Reggie.
Reggie, oh, okay, yeah. So there is clearly a decided, conscious hand behind the continued bastardization, misrepresentation, and misinformation that's being, put out there in mainstream platforms and mainstream media as it relates to voodoo and its traditions. And why now in particular? It seems to be picking up some momentum now, in particular, this attempt to discredit and bastardize and misrepresent And does it in any way have a correlation with while we're here in this space, the re-empowerment of our people, of ourselves and our community as it relates to ancestral acknowledgement and the operation within this indigenous and aboriginal tradition. But also, I believe it has to do with the war, the battle, the Armageddon, if you will, that we are in right now. This battle of good and evil, this battle of left and right, red and blue, black and white. Um, it is indeed a extension of COINTELPRO. For those of you who remember and understand the context of the federal program of COINTELPRO, which primary goal was to infiltrate our communities and our organizations that were of benefit to the people, and then disrupt them, while at the same time informing on these individuals and organizations uh, back to the U.S. government. Some of those records are being released now. It's my understanding that the Orange Clown has released some of those records as well, as they relate to Dr. King, as they relate to Robert F. Kennedy, and a few other important figures in history. And some of you may remember, maybe back during COVID, I did a series of podcasts reading and reciting from government documents about the use of spiritual arts and sciences, remote viewers, telepathy, psychic readers at the governmental level for military purposes, and certainly for spying, snooping, remote viewing on facilities. And in one of those episodes, I went on to share documents that express our religious organizations, and particularly religious organizations that we, don't quote unquote associate with witchcraft or voodoo or spiritual arts and sciences, but documents that demonstrate their active involvement in these arenas, not only to confuse and deflect and appropriate and bastardize, but certainly understanding the real power of the mind, of the psyche, of the spirit, uh, of the quantum metaphysical space that we all coexist in, and then how to utilize that. Uh, Many of us with that against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places. And if that doesn't preach of not just spiritual warfare, but witchcraft and spiritual battle, I don't know what better scripture in that magical book shares that, speaks to that. And so this time for ritual prayer, religious, spiritual, philosophical belief is certainly for protection and defense and wellness in operating in such a confusing and deceptive battlefield each and every day of our lives, but also for actively moving forward in terms of activism, revolution, protest, doing something to push back against the machine, push back against the monster that would otherwise continue to is this is not new to us. We're very familiar with this. We've been dealing with this since our arrival, our uh, being stolen away and carried here into enslavement. This is not new for us. It may very well be a wake-up call for certain demographics of our community, and certainly a wake-up call for those who voted. I tell you, it certainly is a point of regret now, at least in social media, for many who claim to have voted for him and are now having some kind of regret about it. So there's not a thing that I do, uh, and I've said this in previous nations. There's not a thing that I do that's not voodoo. From what I wear, when I wear it, why I wear it, to how I do it, to what I'm doing, to where I go. And certainly those who trust and believe in a power that is ourselves, that is an extension of ourselves, but it's so great and so vast that it is an extension beyond ourselves, that we certainly keep up our practices, much like you would your hygiene or your diet, certain things that you should do and must do consistently to maintain wellness, well-being, and health. I've went deep in my storehouse and got my High John the Conqueror root oil out, which once upon a time I only reached for that in the most extreme of circumstances. But this is an extreme circumstance and an extreme season that we are now living and existing in. I dare say this is a honeymoon. It really has not settled in yet to what extremes this government may attempt in this season, and to what extremes we may have to activate in response to what we are being presented with during this time. Greetings, Mambo Sally Ann. Thank you so much for being present and coming in and joining with us. Uh, oh, beloved, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Macheo, Asé O, greetings and salutations to you and yours. Thank you so much for coming in. I certainly invite your active participation. I don't intend to, talk for an hour, but allow you to ask your questions, to make your comments, to share your information. Certainly in the chat, I'll do my best to read and acknowledge everyone in the chat and any posted questions. Certainly, my co-host, I beg of you to just kind of jump in there at will and present what's on your heart, what's on your mind. Especially you, Sister Tony, because you got a thing of waiting until the top of the hour
The end of the show.
to have a whole lot to say. Uh,
Well, I would like to touch upon what you said about, in war times, history has told us that Hitler went looking into the occult, quote unquote, in the black arts to use in battle, as well as the United States
mhm.
had programs to use psychics and mentalists and just anything they could in wartime, physical wartime. So we know they are aware of the practices out there. And dealing right now, we all know that Elon Musk is from South Africa. So don't think the Afrikaners weren't aware of, the South African traditions that were going on, just like we are aware of other traditions going on. And I don't put nothing past them, really. I think Trump is just a evil dude. He just evil. He don't have to try it. It just come from him.
Mhm.
And as far as the lady with the voodoo doll in my home, boy, she was working. She was working it like it was therapy for herself, like she had ADHD or something.
Yes,
But
indeed.
I sent you the video. I was like, look at this. And the person who took it had to be aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
who filmed her, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I wonder how many others in the stadium were doing the same thing. You know, I made a kind of a joke about it so everybody could see what was going on. And I said, well, you can't say voodoo don't work, you know, but it just, the whole Super Bowl thing just, it was out there. It really was. And it signaled, like I thought, a new era ushering in of spiritual warfare, mental warfare, and
Mm-hmm.
physical warfare. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's coming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you saw the group of neo-Nazis who boldly went on the overpass in Cincinnati, Lincoln Heights, I think it is, with their flags and banners, and they got met with a rude awakening. I
Mm-hmm.
saw some videos before TikTok took them down for the people that didn't take out the weapons, but those black people were strapped. And I don't
Well,
mean
you
with
know,
pistols.
they say it's a new movement of what they're calling YN Black Panthers. For those of you who aren't familiar, YN is TikTok language. There's certain words that you can and cannot say on TikTok. Like you can't really say black, you have to say BLK. You can't really call people white. You have to say YT. And so for young black men, some of you, might understand the reference of the letter N. They call them YNs on TikTok. There's this rumor, because I'm really not sure how much reality it truly is, that there are YN Black Panthers. Now, if it is true, I certainly encourage and am motivated by a younger generation, you know, activating and picking up the mantle, and getting involved. I do pray we learn from lessons of the past. Black Lives Matter is a very good example, and that there's no shenanigans and no diluting, infiltrating politics, and that they allow the elders, the still living and original Black Panthers and those involved in the movement to truly mentor them, educate them, assist them, in their endeavors. There was some black women responding, what y'all like to drink, what kind of food y'all like to eat, suggesting that, if they're serious about these endeavors, then they certainly want to, be of assistance to them, much like the community was assistant to the freedom riders and the civil rights activists and marchers and protesters back in the day. Everybody, didn't march. Everybody wasn't on the quote unquote front line. I mean, somebody had to bail people out. Somebody had to, back then take phone calls and contact the attorneys and do the behind the scenes work that's necessary in any degree of community organizing, activism. This is right up Kim P. Ford's alley. She's not here with us tonight, at least not yet. But yeah, we in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, but elevated certainly with the information that we now have access to, the technology we now have access to, the numbers of educated folk in our communities, particularly Black women, in comparison to, let's just say, the 1970s. The most educated demographic in the U.S. is Black women. The demographic that holds the highest and greatest number of degrees is Yoruba Nigerians. If you didn't,
I've seen so many videos of people dissecting Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, and out of all of it, I didn't see anybody dissect the meaning of those young people, those young brothers in the hoodies with the gold teeth that the camera lingered on for quite a while for that. When you think about it, I think that was the YNs. Because it seems that nobody is saying where they fit in his performance, and definitely they weren't part of the gang, quote unquote, as we know, Bloods and Crips, because we had Miss Williams taking care of the Crip walk and everything. So where did those young Black men fit in his message? And I think it's that YN Black Panther, that calling that new Black Panther movement out. And also that's their greatest fear. Black men in hoodies with gold teeth.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Did they come in with the young performer who came in to protest with the flags for Palestine and Sudan? Is it possible that those young men came in with that guy?
No, they were already posted like under street light. They had a spotlight on them. They were already posted by a pole. They were already there.
They do have many pictures in the mainstream media of this guy holding the flag with Sudan and Gaza on it, standing up on some sort of piece of equipment or rise.
He was standing up on that car,
surrounded by these guys. So
he was standing.
Some correlation.
He was a part of the cast originally. That's why he was down on the floor. But it appears he also had his own agenda. And when he came out, he was close enough to the GMX car that Lamar started off his show on, with all the red, the whites, and the blues coming out the car. Which, the way they came out, it made me think, well, they stuffed in there like a clown car. Remember how all the clowns would come out this one small car? And there was so many coming out. I said, well, how many people in that car? And I was thinking that the car had under the stage steps that they was coming out of, but it turns out from another view, it didn't. But they said he was a part of the performers. What part he was supposed to play, I'm not sure. But he jumped on that same car that Lamar started with when he said the revolution will not be televised right before that. Hello? It froze. We can't hear the Prince.
Yeah, you faded out and it froze. And other than, interference, I just don't understand what's going on with the Wi-Fi every time we do this podcast. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I hear you, and everybody can hear the Divine Prince.
Maseo says Super Bowl had a lot of voodoo in it if you knew where to look. Well, perhaps you really can't come to New Orleans and not encounter it. People don't always know what they're looking at, much like, a trained eye would. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. The Alchemist loved it. He said Kendrick Lamar said so much with that performance. Uh, DJD, greetings and salutations to you and yours. Welcome to the platform. He says, good point, or she says, good point. A lot of Kendrick's performance was ambiguous, and I can't wait for him to discuss his performance. Yeah, hopefully he will have an opportunity or be questioned on Breakfast Club or on somebody's platform about what was really going on. Um, you read somewhere that who was banned for life, Kendrick Lamar or the protester?
The protester.
Because it was my understanding that the protester was perhaps a rapper or a hip hop artist.
He was a performer. I don't know what role he was supposed to play, but no criminal charges were posted against him. But he has been banned for life from all arenas.
Mm-hmm.
So they were scared of this young man because he can't go to no arenas, according to them. But they didn't put no criminal charges on him.
And it's a season that we're living in. I mean, their desire to eliminate anything that smells like DEI, that looks like revolution, that looks like clear information. They're battling that. They're in war with that right now. They're stopping the CDC and the World Health Organization from warning people that there is a quademic going on. Hear me. 4 weeks ago, my mother got COVID, and then the following week she got the flu. Okay, and she's not an isolated incident. I know clusters, towns, whole schools, whole work facilities that are being shut down or closed because more than 60-70% of the people there are sick, and it's not being reported the way it would otherwise had it not been for the Orange Man. Greetings, Goddess Initiative. Welcome back, beloved. It's good to see you here with us. We certainly appreciate you, one of my godchildren. Okay, DJ D said he was a dancer, not a rapper, not a hip hop artist, but just a dancer. So he very well may have come as a part of that planned performance, and he may have just decided on his own to protest without anyone else, including Kendrick Lamar, really knowing what's happening. But I venture Kendrick Lamar knew what was going on. Again, somebody would have had to bail him out if he got arrested, and support him to some degree if he is indeed going to be, lose income now because of that demonstration. You think?
Yes, and the biggest part also that a lot of people may have taken from this at the end when Kendrick said, turn the TV off. That was a good point one of our people had made, one of our viewers made in the comments. Yes, that struck me hard when he said, turn this TV off.
Mm-hmm.
People stopped watching the television. And I saw going through TikTok, you never know these days with AI what's going on. But a lot of people, they had a lot of people streaming, YT people saying, you would think out of all those dancers and performers, they didn't have not one white person in the halftime show. And it's like, oh, so now y'all mad about no DEI? Didn't y'all cut out DEI? But now, since it's affecting you, you want to make a noise about it? I was like, you got to be kidding me. These people can't make up their mind what they want until it affects them.
But let's be clear, Black women predicted this and saw this coming, literally from before the election, but certainly from the moment onwards, predicted this and predicted that people would want to protest now and activate now in a way that we always had to do in our community, and many have chosen to, FOFA and observe the FOFA, happening and not necessarily, get involved, in these protests and these scenarios that are, presenting themselves moving forward. And I understand that sentiment, but I do believe there will come a point that, we won't have a choice. We are going to have to respond, organize, activate, uh, get involved at the grassroots level in our communities, and not just for survival, but for growth and development. We have to keep moving forward, no matter what's presenting itself right now as the illusion of a challenge.
Yes, yes. Everybody's gonna be forced to pick a side and do something. During COVID, I would often make the comments on my Facebook page that I'm just sitting here on the porch with my machete waiting for the zombies.
Yes,
And
indeed.
basically, that's what I'm doing now. Sitting on my porch waiting for the zombies because it's about to go down. The Trump organization has kicked out mainstream media out the Pentagon. They all apparently had offices in the Pentagon building, I guess in case of breaking news. But the New York Times, CNN, NBC, everybody who was quote unquote mean to Mr. Trump along these years, well, this time around, he's getting rid of them and putting in, NPR got kicked out, which is a news agency I rely on heavily. Politico got kicked out the Pentagon. And so we're not going to be getting the right news, correct news.
He's threatening to have MSNBC shut down.
Yes. Yes. Everything that has been, this is a presidential organization of revenge. Trump is going after his opponents. Elon Musk is going after his opponents. They're shutting down organizations that aid South Africa. The organizations that supply us with the news that's going on so they can do what they want to do. They're going after everybody. They're trying to shut down the FBI. Because if they fire that many people, you just well to say they don't have the manpower to do anything. It reminds me so much. We have to go back and read how Hitler started off to refresh our memories, because a rose is still a rose by any other name, and they seem to be playing by his playbook. One of the first things he did was shut down the media. Was shut down the media and go after people that opposed him that were German, and exact revenge against anybody going back to his childhood, whoever so-called he felt hurt him or, you know, did something to make his life harder.
Right.
And it appears that this administration is using Mein Kampf as their playbook. I mean, step by step.
And where is Vance right now? It's almost like he went quiet, but heaven forbid, you know, something, you know, ever really does happen to Trump. We've got to deal with Vance as well.
We're not hearing too much about Vance. I just read an article that the Pope has weighed in on the Trump organization and J.D. Vance in particular, because he's supposed to be a Catholic convert, and telling them, you know, what they were doing was wrong about cutting out the agencies, putting out the immigrants and everything. But you're right. Ain't nobody really hearing from Vance. And what's his agenda, and what's he saying, and what's he doing? You know, Elon Musk seems to have taken over his position as Trump's right-hand man, when it's supposed to be the vice president.
Solomon, you got to unmute yourself. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay. He popped up. I thought he was about to say something. Maybe he's having technical issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these people have to be rooted. These people have to be bound. These people have to be buried in a cemetery. You know, we you know, if you believe in strong magic, you believe you have access to strong magic. This is the time. This is the time.
For as Vance go, he's 100,000 times worse than Trump. And Trump didn't want him to be the vice president. You don't like him, but that was made done. But he is worse. And you know, if they ever hurt Trump, we really gonna be in some trouble. So we better connect. I think as this, we really get off, not trying to get off topic, but to try to stay on with the culture and the voodoo and the EFA, the ATR. As a black people, we must come together with this. We must learn, because we're gonna have to do everything on a spiritual level with the culture. That means teaching, eating right, spiritually doing our baths, wearing our protection, getting in the pub, getting out here with these kids, teaching them everything. You know, like I say, all these abandoned buildings that we have, we got to start something, man. And we do not need to wait to the last minute. I believe in manifesting, and I really don't, you know, come on, when Bush was in, we said the same bull crap, but we still got by. So I don't see.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, listen, the summer of Hurricane Katrina, before we knew Katrina was even coming, me and Tony Val spent days talking about how to survive. Not just discussing it, I mean, really talking about, you know, what if we had to catch a bird, a pigeon, or a dove and survive on it? You know, knowing how to harvest edibles, you know, in the wild. I mean, we really, you know, stretch the the possibilities of our imagination in terms of what we would do or might have to do in the event that we were under some sort of cataclysmic, situation, some sort of, calamity. And then, not even weeks later, Hurricane Katrina happened. So we've got to begin to, as you said, really get rooted in nature. Ifa is nature, Voodoo is nature. So it's not just about, prayer, ritual, ceremony, and a research. We have to know how to harvest, how to grow our own food, how to hunt and capture our own protein, in nature. These are skills that we may very well need in the coming future, in the coming days, in the coming years.
Yeah, we got the bird flu that's making eggs be $12 a dozen. I heard earlier on a news site, a viable news site, that the bird flu has jumped species into the dairy cows. And I wanted to put on my Facebook page, y'all better start stocking up on cream because the milk gonna get ridiculous, but I didn't want to start a panic. So I didn't put it up there, but um our milk is about to be threatened too. And I'm quite sure by next month we'll be hearing about it like we're hearing about the bird flu now. And
And
they
then,
were also saying that this bird flu virus can jump into other animals, and it's only a short time before it makes that jump to people, before it mutates.
Mm.
It mutated so that it could go into the dairy cows. It mutated, and it keep mutating. It'll be in the beef, and then it'll get into other areas of the food chain till it eventually gets into people. So we really got to pay attention. They shut down the World Health Organization and the CDC, which they still have YouTube. They still broadcasting on YouTube. But I saw the day where a judge ordered that their pages be brought back up because the Trump administration had shut down their internet pages and stuff, but a judge ordered that they bring them back up.
hold on, the guys, that's not entirely true. There's actually a chicken shortage, but again, they're not really covering this in the news. But if you understand the bird flu, how that works, how they mitigate bird flu, they often have to kill thousands, if not millions, of birds in that process. Now we may, those who eat chicken. I don't particularly eat chicken, but we may very well be eating chicken from China and from other, regions, of the globe right now, and not so much the American chicken that people have grown accustomed to, because they've had to kill thousands and thousands of chickens just in the last 2 weeks to mitigate this bird flu epidemic. So I am seeing chicken prices elevated, and in some cases, chicken not being available at all. There are days you can go into Instacart, for example. So I look at Rouse's, I look at Kroger, I look at Target, I look at Costco, and chicken used to be one of the grocery items that would be on the front tab, the front page, but not right now uh, because of this epidemic.
And then also chickens that are used for the production of eggs to be for sale are not those farms are not the same farms that produce the chickens that are used for food as whole chickens or chicken wings or something, there are different farms where the chickens are separated as by what they're being used for. So an egg farm is not the same as the chicken farms that produce the chickens that go into the meat market also. But it seems that the bird flu jumped from egg farm to egg farm because all of those farms are in the same close proximity to each other that do that. It's a big business. It's millions of eggs coming out of areas. And it won't be too long before it will jump into the chicken food supply chain if it keeps spreading. But once the egg farm has been deemed that it has bird flu in it, they kill all those egg laying chickens, and they're not laying eggs anymore. Thus, the price is rising. So eventually, it could be no eggs at all because all the chicken farms that produce eggs for sale, all of those chickens have been killed. Whole markets extinct. That's just like dairy cows are not raised on the same farms with the cows they raise for steaks and beef products, ground beef and stuff. They're not on the same farms. But once this virus jumped and it spread to another farm, then another farm, then another farm, and it mutates and it mutates, that's how it's all gonna go down, the food supply.
So what do we do on a spiritual level to fight this? What is there? I mean, is there rituals? Is there prayers? I mean,
Yeah, well,
Well, we
I'm a strong supporter of Sampana. Some of you know Sampana as Babalu Oye. Some of you know Babalu Oye Nazareth, usually bruised on crutches with two dogs. And so I was taught, and in my training, that Babalu Oye or Sapana represent the antidote. You often hear extreme cases of sickness, disease, uh, uh, epilepsy, syphilis, AIDS, etc., smallpox, but also extreme cases of poverty, extreme circumstances, even perhaps with systems or the law. And so Babalu Oye is seen as the antidote. Also, in close association to Babalu Oye is Oshosi, the divine hunter, Inlay or Rinlay, who is like a divine herbalist or medicine man. And certainly here in this region, in New Orleans, there are indigenous, this land that we acknowledge and we placate. And certainly the Aboriginal people had to learn survival, had to learn to protect and heal themselves from the diseases that were being inflicted upon them by the colonizers, both literally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Certainly maintaining great mental clarity and health. In Yoruba traditions, that might look like Ori work and Ori in Voodoo, that might involve Lave Chet ceremony and other forms of ritual application. Because indeed, if our kids are not clear and we're not able to create and recreate first within ourselves, then so in our environment, in our world, a challenge.
now when I was growing up, we had a large number of chickens and a large number of ducks. And my mama used to say, the hens ain't laying. Because we used to sell eggs out of our house right there in the night ward. Or trade a basket of eggs for bushels of mustard greens from our other neighbors. We did a lot of swapping back in the 60s and 70s. You got this, I got that. We gonna trade each other. They call it bartering. But whenever my mama chickens, when she would say, the hens ain't laying, she would put bells on a red ribbon. The little bells like we used to put on a baby's shoe, on red ribbon inside the chicken coop, the laying coop, the nest. And I swear you could hear, I didn't know if it was the chickens pecking at the bells, because I couldn't see how wind was in the was blowing the bells, making them tingle a little bit. They didn't make a lot of noise, but I would hear them sometimes, and the hens would start laying again.
Yes, indeed.
And for those that are just joining, my mother was an avid practitioner of voodoo, even though I didn't know at the time as a child that's what she was doing, but it was part of our daily life. So if she knew something to make the hens start laying eggs again, it got to be something to get rid of these birds, these egg-laying chickens getting these diseases.
Mm-hmm. And then also
I just believe that everything is manufactured by the government. So, I mean, this is just crazy. We're closing all the stores down, and we ain't doing no spiritual work. They talking about corona, now they talking about the egg flu, the bird flu. I mean, when will we? It seems like everybody using our culture, our ATR, our race openly, but us as black folks. When are we gonna get back to, you want to say voodoo? When are we gonna get back to it? Because if we don't, we're gonna be in trouble, man. We got to have more platforms that's gonna come up and that's gonna teach us. Because if not, man, it's gonna be, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And he talking about, yeah. So, I mean, we gonna have to call St. Jack, out of our business, because it's gonna get crazy. And I'm really getting to learning my selfness as who I am, and dealing with my cry, and loving myself, and just dealing with my ancestors, so I can be able to deal with the Orishas and deal with the other cultures and deal with the other rituals and have it come to me easy. But we have to do something, because this is just crazy, man. These platforms that y'all put out here definitely have to get definitely serious about teaching, and definitely serious about, I understand the political form of that, because political can't go without the culture. Because when we pray, we see.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really do this, man. Because that means I have to heal my body. I got to grab my boys. I got to walk a certain way. I got to eat a certain way, dress a certain way. But it has to deal with my spirituality. That has to come first.
That's right. We've got to put on what they call their spiritual armor. And we have to do so, even before you leave your house. Because, I believe in teaching and understanding the spirit realm is more real, more evident, more efficacious than anything we can even imagine in the so-called physical space. So these battles, first and foremost, begin in the spirit realm, between light and dark matter, light and dark energy, and certainly within the state of balance or imbalance of our own God consciousness, and certainly taking care of our body, our temple that houses the spirit. It's crucial anyway, but certainly it's crucial when everything that we eat or drink, is possibly suspect. Not only are we experiencing the pandemic and the bird flu and all sorts of other chaos, but I saw an article today with a video of at least 2 dozen products that are being recalled. Several Goya products from more than one uh, department. Um, Several other brands were a part of this recall. So we've got to get back to nature. We've got to get back to growing. We've got to get back to understanding what we can eat from nature while we still have that. Before that's burnt to the ground or full of chemicals or, the life has been sucked out of the soil. A book that I often recommend for those of you who haven't read it already is Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower.
Yes.
I read that book twice, and within 6 months, I had to move out of California, never to look back.
I read the book twice and was checking out the neighborhood I lived in on how I could set up one like in the book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. In leaving California, the book motivated me to think about, in the worst case scenario, where would I go? Where would I find sustenance? Where would I find community? Where would I find support? And I started, researching populations and culture and community. And this was in 1980, no, this was in 1990, 91, 92, somewhere right after the Rodney King riots. And I just came to understand that the majority of Black people and African Americans and African transplants live in the South, live in the South, from the DMV to Texas to Florida, are here in the South. And so that also played a role in my subsequently moving south permanently and then staying in New Orleans for 30 years. Um, Growing up in the North, being born in the Midwest and growing up in the North, all you hear about the South is lynching, the KKK, Mississippi burning. So I had really negative connotations about living in the South, in my teens, my 20s, in my younger years. Um, I first tried out Atlanta. Atlanta was not the place for me. But in so doing, I took a spiritual trip with a church community to New Orleans. And that's how I became acquainted with New Orleans and spirit and Marie Laveau, began to impress upon me that this was really where I needed to be. And it changed my life almost overnight. Um, to move somewhere and have everything like just fall into place, almost like magic. There was no denying that, it was God's call and the ancestors' call that this is where I needed to be. And one of the very first people that I met here, on my very first job was Tony Val Martinez, you know. Um, so I'm grateful for spirit and spirit's ability to lead and guide and my willingness to listen. We are indeed at the top of the hour. I certainly appreciate you, Solomon, King Solomon Chisholm, Queen Mother Tony Val Martinez for co-hosting with me. I certainly am appreciative of everyone who has participated in the chat. Yeah, Gaio, the product brand. I don't know if the family that you're referencing owns brand or is related to that brand. But I'm talking about, yeah, Goyo, the brand that produces a lot of international, Latinx, Hispanic seasonings and food products. They have several things that are on the recall right now. So certainly don't take my word for it. I don't have the list readily at my fingertips. So search that, Bing that, Google that, do your research on that, and find out about, this over 2 dozen products that are now being recalled. Some fruit cups. It was a lot of things that were on this recall list. But
Tuna fish.
yeah, tuna fish. That's right. A particular brand of tuna fish. Yes, ma'am. So thank you, Daniel Neal. I appreciate you. Thank you, DJD, Maseo. I'm going to look up James Brown and figure out the correct pronunciation of your name. The guys,
Maceo.
Maceo. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, Maceo. I got you now. Okay. Okay, yes. That's an old school name. Okay. All right. Respect. Honor and respect. Honor and respect. And I want to remind everyone who hasn't done so already, please support National New Orleans Voodoo Day. Certainly, if you cannot be here physically, we offer you to donate, to become sponsors. If you are indeed operating in business or ministry or grassroots community, sponsorship can afford you advertisements on our banners and our placards and our email and internet footprint in exchange for your sponsorship. There are varying degrees of sponsorship from the low end to the higher end. So please visit www.vodouday.org. And remember, the U is extremely important, the YOU, because we couldn't do this without you. We certainly appreciate your love, your respect, your donation, DJD. Thank you so much for that. Greetings and salutations, Neophyte Bokor. Peace and blessings to you and your family, honor and respect. Welcome back to the platform. We're doing it regularly every weekday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, U.S. Central Standard Time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Mountain,
Oh
7
shit.
p.m. 7 p.m. Uh, Pacific. So thank you so much, Solomon, for being with us, Tony Val for being with us, everyone in the chat, remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond veils, for it's all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. And no matter what you do, respect the voodoo. All is a blessing.
Peace and blessings. Till next time.
Honor and respect. Honor and respect. Honor and respect.